What is up, guys? It is a new week. It is Monday, 9:18 a.m. We have about 12 minutes to market open. I'm really going to try and make these videos better, higher quality, because I haven't been posting. Well, I missed the week 8 posting because it was an uneventful week, but also due to the fact that I was honestly so, what's the word I'm looking for? The quality of the video was so bad. I wasn't even wanting to post. I'm like, nobody's gonna want to watch this. Episode 9 is honestly really low quality too, and I'm noticing that nobody is watching it. So I really do want to make more effort going into these videos rather than like a quick 20-second clip of me just going over the day at nighttime, because obviously that's just extremely low effort on my part. But this is what the charts are looking like going into market open. You can see that we did have a 400 point gap down at market open. So this was a new week opening gap. We had 423 point gap down right at market open on NQ. I really don't care about how much ES did, because ES, you can see, obviously dumped as well. So what do I see? Most of my targets are drawn out on NQ. So if I'm looking for longs, NQ is the more bullish pair. What do we know? That we know that you want to trade the more bullish pair to avoid getting SMT'd on. Whenever we start running, I'm not going to be trading on ES if it's lagging behind, because that means if NQ takes out one of the main draws first, ES really does not need to. So I have all my higher targets on marked out on NQ. We have the new week opening gap fill, which is this line I have marked right up here, and I'll show you which one it is. I've made this mistake of not marking it out properly before, but it is pretty much just where price ended up closing at 5 p.m. last week. So that's 5 p.m.'s closing price. That is a new week opening gap, the true opening gap. But we also do have the hourly sort of gap, if you want to call it whatever this hourly wick you could be targeting. I do think we are going to start running through this gap. It looks like we obviously have been. We are extremely overextended, so maybe we get some sort of retrace. We did retrace into this area over here. I don't know. Yeah, so we did retrace into the smallest hourly gap. You can see probably was like 30-minute or something. Yeah, we retraced into a 30-minute gap. We're displacing out entries. Would have made sense. So maybe we sweep this target out and start going lower. Who knows? But I will be watching price to see what it does. But if we go lower, I do have this marked out over here. But the nice thing about this target here is that it is equal lows on ES. So that is a really nice target. I love equal lows. That's a strong draw, strong magnet price. So that is what market open pre-market is looking like. So I will give you guys an update with how this trading day goes. I do have a set of evals that we've been on for a long time, so we need to pass them. We need to pass. But yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit. So we are done with the trading session. It is 10:30. We got break even. And let me just show you guys what happened. So into market open, I'll just show all my lines again. This is what I ended up charting out, sort of. I told you guys that I was looking for the gap fill higher, and I don't know why I have both lines marked, but we did end up getting the gap filled. We got the first gap filled over here, and we edged the full gap fill, which was the AM session, but the hourly gap fill did end up getting filled. And let me show you guys how we did it. So we had a 15-minute gap lower right over here. I'm not sure what that was again. So we had this 15-minute gap, which was unfilled. What I was looking for was price obviously took our main target out pre-market. I wanted to see a sweep tap into this gap and then start reacting higher, but we did not get that. So price edged the gap by, I think, 4 points, which in its own is not that big of a deal. We don't always have to tap the gap. Even if we edge it and start moving higher, obviously it doesn't make sense for us to go higher. I will take it. But the reason I did not take it is after we edged the gap, the volume that we had was like, it wasn't real. This wasn't real volume. So you can see we literally shot up in 3 candles, 140 points, and then we immediately followed up to 166 points. So obviously seeing this volume, 50-point candles, and then another 60-point candle, I was like, okay, this is not like actual volume. Something happened. So hopped right on Twitter, hopped on Financial Juice. Financial Juice, by the way, is the futures Forex factory. I was trying to look for what happened. I couldn't find it because it was obviously some news driven like volume that we got, because we're not going to randomly pump 60 points. It's not like we had some sort of insane target to fill. It was a gap fill. But again, it wasn't like it was some, it had to get filled by retail traders, right? So I was correct. We ended up having some sort of war news that says Iranian officials are sending and banning uranium, whatever. I don't know what that means at all, but what I know is that we got some ridiculous amount of volume. So I did not catch that first trade at all. Second of all, I was looking to start catching moves higher because I was like, okay, if we have bullish momentum, we're going to continue. I faded this setup right here because I've lost this sort of setup way too many times, where you enter like right over here, maybe stop at the wick and then targeting higher. I faded this honestly because we did end up sweeping out that first gap fill and we rejected lower. We rejected really strong too. Like this is, 64 points. This is a lot of volume, right? So I faded this because like, okay, if we sweep the high and reject, I don't want to enter off that first retrace. So I waited for the second pump higher, and this was extremely close to the gap fill, and I needed about 50 points to pass. So I was going to target break even right over here, see how we react off this gap fill. If we don't get the gap fill, I'll take the 20 points, go about my day. But 50 points is what I was looking for. Ended up getting break even on the accounts, as you can see right over here. I'll show you guys a P&L card. Break even day, but I don't even remember the last time we have had a real trading session anymore. Every single session we ended up randomly pumping or dumping, all because of some war-driven news. So I guess that's how it's going to be. You just got to adapt. But if I have anything else to say on the day, I will catch you guys in a bit. But yeah, I think I'll be done trading for the day unless I see some sort of better setup to try. But okay, what is up, guys? It is now Wednesday after the market. Well, it's 3 p.m. Market closes in an hour. So I did not pick up the camera yesterday. I honestly did forget to record my recap, but I was just a little busy. I was recording other short form, but it's not an excuse. I should have recorded, but pretty much what happened was I ended up getting break even, I think 2 or 3 times throughout AM session. And then we caught a trade for PM session. So I ended up catching 3 break evens or something like that in Tuesday AM session. It was all because I was just trying to scalp my eval passes. What I like to do is I like to leverage really hard, try and go break even as soon as I can. And it did not end up playing out. My trade copier ended up bugging out. So Trade Syncer, the copier I use, it works great almost like 90% of the time, but there is always some little issues where pretty much it will not always work out, and I end up getting closed for a really weird P&L. So what ended up happening was that one of my break evens, I got closed break even on my leader account for $0 or so to say, but my followers, so my 4 other accounts that I was copying over to, all ended up getting closed at $700 of a loss. So what ended up happening was I'd scalp that $700 to get my accounts to break even, whatever. So I'll show you guys pretty much what I saw going into that day. This was Wednesday. You can see right here we had some crazy fucking expansion. 930 was right over here, and we end up expanding about 300 points through PM session. So AM session was right over here. After we got this massive 5-minute, so I mean, first of all, the only draw I saw viable going to the day was data highs right over here. This target over here, it ended up getting swept out literally 2 minutes into market open. And this entire pump here should not have realistically, I mean, it happened, but the thing is that it didn't make sense for us to keep pumping. We had no targets higher. We had massive gaps, massive 4-hour gaps that were just literally a void, which we shouldn't have honestly started trading into, but we did. So what ended up happening was we just ended up holding every single retrace and going higher. So I was just on the 1 minute over here trying to scalp. I think I took an entry here, got break even, ended up taking one here. I took a loss somewhere in this area, and then I ended up scalping it back. Whatever. I don't really want to go over those trades too much because they were literally just like 30-second, 1 minute scalps I was trying to trade to. But what I ended up taking was power hour. The last hour of New York session, we got a beautiful trade right over here. So we ended up sweeping the 4-hour high, the 4-hour like targets over here, the void, we filled it fully. What I saw also was, okay, oh my God, I need to find this again. Sorry. 15 April. Okay, whatever. Doesn't really make that much of a difference. Anyways, so right around this area over here where I took my trade, we ended up tapping into an hourly gap somewhere. I forget, it was over here somewhere. So it was like a gap somewhere in this area. I don't really want to mark, I don't care to mark it out. It was lower. It was somewhere like right over here. But this is genuinely, I can't lie to you, the most A+ setup, the most beautiful setup I have seen in, oh my God, had to have been like 2 weeks. So look at this. We tap, so we retrace, take the 4 hour, retrace into an hourly gap. We hold it to the tick. We pretty much tapped like the midpoint, not even. We got our first flip out. So first flip out, retrace back into the gap, second flip out, and we have back, we also have New York PM session highs right over here. So what I took was on the 1 minute, right around the 5 minute candle close, I entered right over here. Stop loss was at the wick low over here. It doesn't really make sense for us to retrace back into the gap if we got a strong second close out. So this was the trade right over here. I went break even at this next 5 minute gap, since the only thing that really could have held us, the only thing that could have held us back from this trade was this 5 minute gap right over here. So there we go. Beautiful trade. Like, look at this. It literally played out in the quickest span. We had really bad volume right before this, but once I saw this trade, volume started picking up. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll try this out on my evals. And that's when I ended up getting closed for, this was the P&L yesterday. So you can see this, the leader account, sorry, was the 1.2K account. So we're pretty much at 1.3 on this follower, on the leader account, sorry. And every other account is sitting around $600. So that's how I ended yesterday, by taking a super clean trade in PM session, which I haven't done in so long, but this was the most beautiful trade ever. Like, I remember looking at this trade and just smiling. I was so happy. I'm like, finally, I got something really clean. So there's Wednesday's recap. And let me go into today's recap now. Okay, so here is today, Wednesday, April 15th, trading session. We got some ridiculous expansion again through PM session, but I did not end up trading PM today. I really was, I was like done with it. I'm like, I don't want to sit on the charts the whole day just in hopes to catch some sort of move. But I'll show you guys into market open. It didn't really seem like we were going to get a really clean trading day. This was market open. So what I saw was, boom, we have a terrible, disgusting range where we're just wicking higher, taking highs out and rejecting lower. The only targets higher we had were, look at this. So like how much I have to zoom out. So our next target higher was 200 points away. Our next target higher was 200 points away. And the only target lower was an unfilled 4 hour gap lower over here, which was like 150 points from, 140 points. So I honestly thought that we weren't get anything good at all today. But as the market started going, so I got off right around 10:30, I think, somewhere over here. I got off because look at this. So price action right around, so all of New York AM session, sorry, price action was horrid. We were literally just wicking higher, lower. So I just got off for a bit, but then we did end up getting a really nice trade right over here. I ended up taking this 5 minute close on my evals. Targeting, I was like, okay, we're getting like 70 points away from the target. Maybe we'll deliver. Break even right around this area over here. And you can see starts playing out, bam, break even, and instantly starts running higher. So yeah, I ended up getting break even on this trade over here. This is the Trade Sinker P&L for today, $288. So pretty much a break even, because you can see, again, around $60 across the account. So yeah, what do I take away from today and yesterday is PM session has been the move. PM session has definitely been really clean. So what that tells me is I should just, be a little more weary of how price is moving, because you have a look at this. Like, we have been clearly just trending higher, and I'm going to post a shorter form TikTok about this later today, but I don't feel like marking out everything on my computer again, but this was what I saw. So this entire move right up here before this dump. So pretty much this entire move over here, this 250 point move we got,
it was really clean. If you look back at it, we were generally holding every single 5-minute gap, retracing higher, 5-minute gap higher, 5-minute gap higher. So entries were definitely viable today. There were entries to take in PM session. It's just I wasn't looking at the charts at PM. But same thing I'm taking away is when we're trending higher, there's clear targets higher. They should end up getting hit. So I should have trusted the draw. It does sound like I'm yapping a lot, but this is just all that's going through my mind, the quick thought process. We're clearly trending higher. And I mean, I'm honest, this does really frustrate me a lot because we literally held every single 5-minute gap. So 5-minute gap tap, 1-minute execution, all of them played out. So yeah, I really don't know what much else there is to say to this because I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I'm looking at these charts and there were so many really nice entries to take. 15-minute was really clean as well. But the only thing was, again, the pain of the low volume. We probably would have had to hold the trade for like an hour, hour and a half. But this all could just be cope again, right? So, you know what? Forget about it. We didn't trade today. Not a big deal. I know what I could have done to take a trade. But again, my conditions were that if the first hour, hour and a half looked terrible, I don't want to keep forcing trades. But it is what it is. Simple break-even day for me. One trade today. We'll see how tomorrow is. I really do hope these conditions start getting a little more probable for me. I want to see the AM session start moving cleaner and not the PM take out every single draw, but I can't do anything about that. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Okay, guys, boom. It is now 7 o'clock Friday. Me being the tool bag I completely forgot to record Thursday because I was getting a haircut. I went and got a haircut around the time I like to record my recaps around the 3-4 mark, somewhere around there. So after I got back, I was just completely forgot about the recap and I only remembered this morning. So I was like, whatever, I'll just trade today, see how it goes, and we'll just record tomorrow. But how I ended the day was 1 break even, 1 loss. That loss I took was really fucking stupid. It would have played out if I just was using logic, but I was more of just emotional and, extremely FOMO, just emotionally executing with zero logic behind the trade. So I ended up losing, and I deserve to lose because I did take a stupid trade. So I will show you guys the trades that I did end up taking. This was my first trade right over here. It was us flipping. So we first tapped into a 4-hour gap over here. I didn't have it marked out. Tapped in a 4-hour gap, flipped out, took a second entry higher right over here off this 1-minute retrace. Ended up going break even at the internal highs. I got break even on this trade. Now, what really pissed me off and what set me off to be really emotional was this trade ends up playing out. You can see this trade did play out. So I was really, really frustrated with that because all to the fact of I was just chasing price. I wanted to pass my accounts. I really did want to pass, but you see what happens when you start chasing price. And if I did just have a bigger stop on this trade right over here, I know I'm not showing in this screenshot, but so if I had my stop below this gap right over here, the trade would have played out. And the issue was, so first of all, we took a really loose reaction on the trade. It was the fact we tapped into a gap and had a 1-minute candle. So I took 1-minute confirmation thinking that would, invalidate the whole move lower. No. So just stupid trade overall. Now going into today, let me just find real quick what I ended up taking today. It was a pre-market trade that I did end up trading on around 850-ish. Yeah. Okay, so this was the trade I took today. I was looking for a trade right around this area over here on this retrace, but you can see why I also wanted to take this trade. So when I was checking, so I woke up around 8:30. I just checked the charts real quick because I was like, okay, let's see what we did overnight. And what I saw going in around 8:30 was this right over here. So right around 8:30, we were so still retracing this gap. We did not get this massive fucking green candle. How many points was this? 117 points. Wow. So I saw that we got this 5-minute gap. And what I also saw was we had all-time highs just right above, right around somewhere over here. So I was like, okay, interesting. You know what? Maybe if I enter
around 8:30, so an hour before, I might get a really clean entry and then just ride it all the way to as high as I need. But that never ended up happening, all because Iran's foreign minister, passage for all commercial vessels through Strait of Hormuz has been declared open. So obviously we got some sort of war news typically. So they opened up the strait, meaning all the oil tankers can start coming through. Extremely bullish. I did also set alerts for when price, can I flip? I set an alert for when price was to reach this level right here. But me being the idiot I am, I had my do not disturb on my phone. So I did not see it. So I swiped down my notifications. I swiped down on my phone, you know, you just check your notifications. I see NQ crossing. I'm like, oh wait, what's going on? Next thing you know, we already pumped 50 points in 3 candles. So I checked Financial Juice to see what was going on around this pump over here. I saw that it was war news. So I was like, okay, cool. Bullish war news. What does that mean? If you can get on bullish war news early, especially with how we've been moving, it's clear as day price action. So I entered somewhere around this area here and just rode it. I rode it higher and I started trailing super aggressively after I got up around $1,000. So I ended the day at around $1,000 on the accounts. If I can pull up the P&L. Here we go. This is how we ended the day. So pretty much I brought every single account back from the loss yesterday. So we're sitting around 50,600 across 4, and then one's at like 1.3. This account right here is a new account I bought from My Funded Futures. They got a new plan I want to try out. It's getting a payout in 2 days on the account. You can pass the account in 1 day, which obviously I did not do today. So you pass the account 1 day, you can get a payout in 2 days, which is really interesting. I just wanted to try it out. There was a discount on the accounts, so I did just end up, snagging one to see how it is. But I did not end up trading anything during the New York AM session after this because I was like, okay, I already took profits on the day today. Unless I get some clear setup that I'm like, okay, I know I can trade on. I don't want to take it. But I was watching price, and this is a trade that I was willing to take. I texted one of my friends over here that I was looking at this trade too. It was on ES. And the reasoning behind this trade I thought about taking was ES is way more bullish. We're almost at all-time highs on ES. Tapped into a huge 15-minute gap. Great reaction out. The only thing I didn't like about this trade is your break-even is so close. And playing a close break-even like this on the 15-minute is a little iffy because we could just wake up and go down. But yeah, this was a really nice trade. I'm going to journal this down too because I was looking at this trade the whole time it was forming. This whole 15-minute candle. I was like, okay, this is a long I want to take. This is a long I want to take. But in the end, I did not end up taking the long, all because I was like, okay, we have profits on the day. I'm good. I brought my accounts back out of drawdown from a retarded trade I took yesterday. I'm happy with that. I'm extremely happy with that. So, done. End of the week. What are the takeaways from this week for me? The takeaways are that if I was just trading patiently and, trading a little more carefully, risking adequately, correctly, most likely could have passed the accounts, but I didn't do that. So going into next week, I'm going to be trying to be more patient. A lot of the really clean moves we have had have been around that 10:30, 11 a.m. mark, and I've been getting off around 10 a.m. really early. So, sorry, what I've learned is I need to stay more patient. Obviously, we have these moves later in the day, so we try and capitalize on that if that's how next week goes. But goal for next week is still to get these evals passed. We are sitting around almost $1,000 on these accounts, so 1 to 2 trades should get me this pass. But yeah, other than that, trading has not been too bad this week. We did end up getting a lot of break evens, but that's obviously better than me taking a loss, right? So it is what it is. Probably gonna end it over here. I don't really have much else to say. If you guys did like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. My DMs are always open if you have any questions. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you next week.